Hello and welcome to the Game Changer Movement virtual living room. I am here. I'm Eric Lehman. I'm here with Antika Lisha, and we are excited that we have a Labor Day edition of the living room that is the day after Labor Day. So I hope all of you experienced a great, just holiday weekend, and were able to spend quality time with family in advance of what Staples would call the most wonderful time of the year, which is back to school time. So,
Yay, Staples.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you remember those commercials back when I actually had a TV, but they would be playing the Christmas song of "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year" in preparation for kids leaving the house during the day. So I know for myself as a father that that's going to create a new dynamic and a new pattern, and I'm looking forward to it. And selfishly or unselfishly so, like I want to dive in. My kids miss school, like they love school, and so speaking of school and what.
So they haven't started yet?
Not yet. I think one starts tomorrow, or one may have started today, but I don't get them until tomorrow afternoon. So on in terms of my patterns, and then my older two don't start until Thursday. So
Wow.
yeah, and I mean, like,
Our kids have been in school for a couple weeks.
that's amazing. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's the interesting part of like the game changer movement and how it relates to all these different parts of our lifestyle, because like the summer presents different challenges or different opportunities than the school year, so now our kids are going back to places where there are school where there's expectations around grades and around test taking and rituals and practices, and I felt like that's why the topic of failure came into my thought process around how it relates to the game changer movement and back to school time, because what I'm learning is that failure is something that's a really amazing thing to know, or to be able to get comfortable with as we're developing and growing. And interestingly, what I'm learning is that the gaming environment is one of the best places to learn how to fail with only virtual consequences, if that makes sense. So as we in the Game Changer movement venture forward into creating the next wave of gaming, and I created a new video for the Indiegogo campaign that I put on the campaign on Friday, and it's just we're about to design a Game Changer movement retreat where we're going to design the next wave of games with the youth that participate in the Game Changer movement. And yeah, I mean, I'm just so excited about it. I'm so excited that we get to, build in the idea of exploring failure and exploring healthy risk-taking behavior as we embrace the gaming environment, because there's so many, and I think that's why I'm so grateful for the learning in the Game Changer movement, because, when I first was inspired to create this movement, I was just all about getting the kids off the couch and out of the gaming realm and into another world that may or may not have existed for today's youth. And so, and then, a few people brought up, like, well, what if kids start going out to play and then like more real world street violence happens as a result of more congestion, like, what does that mean? And I mean, like, not that I felt like accountable or liable for that, but I feel like there's now a sense that meeting kids where they are, and redirecting how that time is spent in the gaming world is really where it's at. And I just read an article today about how there are community challenges regarding architecture and community planning using Minecraft as the platform to solicit ideas, from
Really?
gamers of all ages. Yeah.
That's cool.
Right? So,
Yeah. My kids would dig that.
Yeah, it's totally on the Game Changer Facebook page. I posted it this morning, and I just feel like that's the next wave. The next wave is using the game platforms where kids are already congregating in mass numbers, and what's it called?
Collaborating?
Yeah. So yeah, and I feel like it's just it's really exciting to see that if they're already there, that that the folks who made Minecraft were able to donate licenses to these projects that kind of created their own unique offerings using Minecraft as the platform for it. So I just, I wanted to kind of throw that topic out there and see what your thoughts were, Antika, and let's go from there.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned this, because as you were talking about it today, I was like, oh my gosh, failure is huge. I remember when what do I want to call him now? I was like kind of given this talk in Toastmasters the other week. So my children's father and I were playing games, and oh my gosh, I would lose the game, and it was these intellectual games where you remember facts and figures and stuff, and I'm just like that's not my genius. Let's just put it that way. And I hated it. And I had to learn how to lose well in order to continue playing the game. Because if I threw the fit or got upset or like got huffy or like down in the dumps, then we wouldn't continue playing games. And that sucked even worse than not playing games. And probably kids learn this as kids, but when I was a kid, I was shoveling horse manure and working, and I had a different childhood than some kids. We didn't play many games. We did play cards, however. And I'm really good at cards, so I won often when I was playing cards as an adult. And I lost okay. Like, I was an okay loser. But what's really taught me personally about losing so well, in fact, I wrote the book, or I'm in the book. Failure, the Key to Success. Is that hilarious?
That is
so
hilarious.
You're doing this. I'm like, oh my gosh. And we fail in so many different areas of our life. And kids learning how to fail and fail well is important for enjoyment. And that's really my point when I put all that out. Because as a mother, when we're playing games and the kids lose, if I'm throwing a fit, if I lose, if I get upset and pissy, if I lose, then my kids see that and they're going to do the same thing. And so that even that family time together isn't that well. And for health wise, like we feel, oh, I'm losing because I gained 10 pounds or I'm losing because I got sick or whatever. And we have this story. So one of the things that I write about in Failure, the Key to Success, which was a #1 bestseller and was written with E.I. Hunter. She's an amazing author. Anyway, we talk a lot about how there's so many different levels of failure. And in a gaming perspective, like they die. So that's kind of health, right? They have the little health chips and like all those things. So in the gaming perspective, like if they don't take care of themselves, if they, in this case, like get beat up too much or in a better game, like don't ride their bike long enough or something, they lose their health points and can die that way. And we can do that literally too. And if we get used to that and we kind of can train ourselves how to take care of ourselves, whether it's taking care of your cats, taking care of your physical body, taking care of your little dude on the gaming platform, you are going to succeed more in life because you're going to be able to take care of yourself better. I mean, those are really my thoughts. And in business too. So say the kids grow up and they like need to make money or something wildly crazy like that to live, you know, say they become adults, these children, and they have to make money, they have to live, and they want to create something like you're creating with the Game Changers movement, or I am with Your Own University, or whatever they're doing. They have to fail. They're gonna fail. We screw up all the time. And if they give up or get upset every time that they fail, they'll lose that learning piece on how to do it better.
Right.
Like all my years of being sick in my 20s, physically sick, I learned what my personal body needs for wellness. You know, and all the years that I was depressed and not thinking right and talking negatively to myself, I learned how I need to talk to myself to think positively and get myself out of the dump, you know? So we're learning all of those pieces by failing often. And that's just how life works.
Right.
So
I also feel like, you know, just the whole concept, like, I mean, in the self-development world, you know, there's this phrase that gets bantered about that says failure is feedback, you know? And
I haven't heard that. I love that though.
Yeah. And I just feel like, you know, what if one of the great, you know, outcomes of the Game Changer movement is that we all learn how to fail better together. You know, because I you know, we could look at the early, you know, success or, you know, whatever of even the Game Changer movement Indiegogo campaign. You know, I mean, like that's evolving, you know, as it was launched.
Right.
And, you know, I could look at it as, you know, if I were in black and white terms, I could look at it as just, you know, a quote unquote failure. I mean, the campaign's not over yet. But, you know, I didn't follow any of the rules that you're supposed to follow, and I'm learning along the way, or we're learning along the way. And so with failure being feedback, you know, like we can tweak in real time so much, you know, if we embrace failure as part of the pathway. So, you know, I feel like I mean, what I've been doing just as my own person is I've been choosing different words to describe or to even in my self-talk to help with my experiences. So, I mean, you know, trying to like taking things in as good or bad, you know, as a person has kind of melted away, you know. So I'm like, oh, that was interesting. And interesting has been the word I use to describe almost everything that I used to put a label on, you know, as good or bad. I put them in different buckets. So I feel like there's a huge opportunity in the virtual world to say, oh, cool, let's have a sandbox where the stakes aren't that high, so that when they're high, we know how to fail.
And we know how to handle it.
Yeah, we know how to handle it.
Yeah, it's not personal. It's going to be so much easier to learn how to develop those skills with little health marks than getting yourself sick.
Right.
You know, like those health marks aren't going to physically hurt you like everything else could. And one thing that I think would have really helped me is if I learned how to, like in a gaming platform, if I was playing a game like that, which I wasn't, but if I had learned from the game, like things to be more self-caring, like don't go party all night.
Right.
You know, or if you do go party all night, what really would happen if you chose to participate in drugs.
Right.
Better word. Can I say it on here? You know, what would happen if I could have had like something that I was emotionally attached to, which would be a game, right? You're emotionally attached to the character rather than some health class where they're saying, oh, don't do this, but you're not feeling that. So I'm feeling the results of whatever I was choosing to do, and my dude dies. You know, like the consequences were really, really real. Like if you're gonna hold up a guy and like, what's that game that you talk about all the time where
Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty?
Right. Grand Theft Auto, you know, so you're like getting the guy out of the car. What would happen if you like did that, but then you're totally arrested? And then you have to like sit in jail for a week and you weren't able to play.
Right.
You know, what if the game was like turned, just tweaked just a little bit, where we're actually learning how to deal with failed consequences?
Yeah.
How much would that change?
About like, you know, and just kind of not necessarily that I want to put too much design energy into just adding different tweaks, but if you could hack into some of these like, you know, first person shooter games and create a moment of silence every time you kill someone, you know, just to have that like sense of like, wow, you just took a life. Like you should at least wait 2 more seconds before you take another one, you know? And, you know, like, and I guess what I'm excited about is just like in the world of biofeedback, you know, imagine your personal health, your actual personal health gave you more health chips, you know, so you could take a reading, you know, your blood pressure or your weight or your whatever, your overall energy.
Oh, see, that's a total.
Could upload, right?
Oh my gosh, that's an absolute. Oh, that's super cool. I don't know. That's really, really cool.
Because so like as we're creating our avatars,
there's those little things that you can like hook up. I mean, there's so many ways we can do that.
Right.
And even like, oh, that excites me. That would be cool.
Yay. that's the whole, like, you know, recently, you know, my sort of software, you know, programming partner and I, we banter about the expression like gamifying the real world and realifying the game world. So like, you know, how do we concentrate on that moment? Because I think one of my observations is that the sad part about a lot of the school shootings is that there just seems to be a disconnect as the virtual world becomes real. Like, and there's just, you know, even, you know, like with our last episode last week about like, how does life imitate art? You know, if art is the gaming space right now, you know, what, you know, where are these shootings coming, like where are the ideas that shooting is okay coming from, you know?
Yeah.
And then like, how do we, you know, concentrate on that one moment where you put down the game console and you re-enter the world, you know, and how do we help kids with that transition, people with that transition? Because I just believe that that's the one moment that's the most important, you know, like I mean, as a kid, I remember watching Superman the movie and coming out of the theater feeling invincible. Like I could walk into traffic and the cars would just bounce off of me. Like, you know, there was something that my mirror neurons did inside my 8-year-old body. You know, I believed that at some point, if something that I saw happen that I didn't want to happen, you know, I could reverse that by flying around the world backwards really quickly and reversing the time-space continuum like Superman did to save Lois Lane from falling through the, you know, cracks in the earth. You know, like those are the things that my 8-year-old self believed into reality, you know, into my own kind of perception.
Oh, this is so funny. So my daughter in the car, just, I don't know, I just have to tell this story because it's hilarious and it's relevant. But so it's true. Like, this is how kids feel, and this is how the gaming world and the world in general works. But kids, even without the major games, feel this way. So my daughter has been doing this little thing with her eyes, and she's been able to see double her whole life. She's turning 12 next Saturday. All right. So her whole life, and we're in the car, and she goes, so I thought I had superpowers. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, this was last week, right? I thought I had superpowers. I'm like, cool. What was your superpower? Well, I can see double. Cool. Anytime I want. Awesome, babe. She's like, but then I was using my superpowers at the dinner table, and Dad asked, why are you crossing your eyes? And she said, turns out I don't have superpowers. I'm just crossing my eyes. And now I understand why all the kids, when I would use my superpowers at school, would turn around and give me funny looks, because I was just crossing my eyes. Like, she's disappointed. But her whole life, she's in 6th grade, all these years at school, she seriously thought that she was like activating superpowers and didn't realize she was crossing her eyes. That's kids.
Totally.
And that's really successful adults too, by the way. Like, we need to keep this going.
Sure. And I feel like just to kind of bring another story from my childhood back, not just watching Superman, but and I'm pretty sure that I don't know, I think we all have different abilities. And so I think that my different ability was seeing really small particles in the air. So I remember on several occasions telling my mom's partners, or husbands or whatever, like, I would just go up to them and say, you know what, I see bacteria, with my naked eyes, and I think I did. And I think I sort of talked myself out of that superpower because of, people saying, oh, well, you need a microscope to see bacteria, but I'm pretty sure I did, and I don't know what that means. And I don't know if I could, tap into that skill again. And
I'm sure you could. Honey Borden would say that you can. She has, but we lose those skills. Like, we lose all that functioning of our mind. I think it's opening up as the generations continue to enlighten or evolve as human beings. But we lose those skills. I think we're born with much more mind capacity and visual capacity and hearing capacity, wherever our gifts are, than our society allows us to keep. And so, to be protected, to be safe, to be loved, we literally compartmentalize everything. And I mean, that's just basic. I don't know if it's basic psychology, but it is.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's definitely one of our, just kind of invisible mechanisms, seeing bacteria. But like, I just feel like we, and I think that's what's also going on for my process is that, like, I've been kind of out of the societal norms for so long now. Like, things are becoming comical, like when I look at, some of the rat races that I remember choosing to run in, I was like, what was I thinking? And what are we still thinking if we're still engaging in that way? And, it's just, like, and I keep on coming back to just like this whole buildup around the 2016 elections. And I'm like, this is so ridiculous. Like, here we are again, watching these rich people, talk about what they would or wouldn't do, or what they probably won't do as soon as they were elected, like bantering about trying to discard the other person's character, and it's just like, and a few months from now, if someone wins the nomination, then the people who are making fun of those people are then going to fall in line and endorse them. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and it's just such an interesting, time to be So like imagine the election as a video game rather than real life. It wouldn't look too much different, which is kind of interesting. So I think I guess that's just where art again is, or life is imitating art, because I think I'm really unsure as to which is which anymore, so but I guess, just to kind of spin this in a more kind of serious direction, one of the things that I've learned also is, and it's not very well understood or studied, around what it takes. And I mean, it's a hard topic to bring up, but there's a certain amount of biofeedback training that that needs to happen for the school shootings to have happened the way they did. And it's going to come out sort of messy, so I'm just kind of like sharing that in advance. But in order to get your heart rate so low, like so that you can actually follow through with the mission in your head, one of the things that the gaming platform is amazing at is putting you through those virtual experiences, simulated experiences, to the point where your biofeedback is real. So the more hours you log in the violent video game environment, the more able you are to carry out that kind of a mission in real life, which is why the military wants kids, to play these games leading up to the time of recruitment, so then, here we are learning that these games are helping, keep kids calm or keep people calm as they're gearing up to do the unthinkable. And the only way that the unthinkable is becoming more and more possible is because we're learning how to reduce our heart rate, in the game space. So that's what I'm excited about is the flip side. So if we already know that the gaming world is that effective at creating, biofeedback responses that will lower your heart rate so that you can follow through with these really awful things, what if we can stem the tide and redirect that energy to biofeedback loops that really, create progress in society? So, I think that's what I'm excited about. I mean, that's why I want, to build failure in first, and to talk about, what it means to come to the game space in good health. Things are just really exciting to talk about. And I'm just loving the virtual living room, because that's where we get to explore the many facets of the game changer movement that can't be explained in a 2-minute video in front of an Indiegogo campaign. So this is, so these are the resources that we're creating. These are the conversations we want to have with people. And I guess that's the other big learning, is that, the wave one of the gaming industry was to make games for, players, for gamers. And now what we're doing is we're transitioning the word, for to the word with, and the word charity to the word community. So, when you make a contribution to the game changer movement, your donation will be tax deductible. However, we're using that contribution to build community rather than doing charity, if that makes sense. So, I mean, going from for to with and from charity to community is really the macro process that we're engaging in.
Yeah.
And so
thank you so much for saying that, because as yes, there's like the legal everything that Divinely You, my 501c3, has to go through that to be a nonprofit. But one thing back in November that really joined Eric and I together is this sense of community and how important it is to be a unit and really be abundant in that. So not necessarily for profit, because I really hope that we spend every penny on creating this great movement and doing the events and having great conversation in different communities across the world to change the game and the gaming industry and violence as we see it, and change the conversation around violence. And that's really, really important to me. And I love how you just worded that. So thank you, and thank you, everybody. I have had a lot of fun here today.
Yeah, likewise. And I just feel like this kind of conversation is just, it's where it's at. You know, I mean, this is the with part, you know, and I feel like the next iteration or generation of the virtual living room is to figure out how to invite specific game changers into this living room and to sit kind of couch to couch and or virtual couch to virtual couch and just expand it. So Thank you for spending all your time. Looks like we have at least one viewer on board, and I'm excited about that. And so we'll see you next week, hopefully 3:30 Monday Eastern Standard Time.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.